RuneScape Dragonwilds. Damn, that is a really bad name. But you know what? It's not as bad as Palworld. I also had no idea that this game was even coming out. I mean, I didn't see any advertisement for it, nothing. I just randomly saw a post on the RuneScape Reddit that Dragonwilds was out, and I thought it was like a content expansion for RuneScape itself, but no, this is entirely its own game. And holy shit, it is a super different game from RuneScape. I would say this game, at least for me, feels closest to something like Valheim, but it definitely has some areas where it really shines, and then some areas where I think the other survival craft games do a little bit better. And the first thing that I realized when I started playing this game is that everything wants you dead. They want you more dead than New World's player base. I mean, every single NPC, including the chickens, attacks you on sight. You constantly get raided by NPCs, like goblins will show up at your base, they'll just show up in the middle of nowhere and try to hunt you, and the icing on the cake is that big-ass poison-spitting dragon that just bombs the shit out of you every 15 to 20 minutes. It can even destroy your base, and the enemy raids will also destroy your base. So this was definitely an adjustment from some previous titles that I've played, where it's a lot more forgiving early on, especially in regards to getting attacked when you don't want to be attacked or you're not actively going to engage with enemies. Now, I know not everybody loves the idea of having to actively deal with threats like that, but it's a survival game, and I actually really enjoyed this aspect. I liked that we had to build up a bit of a base in order to defend our beds, in order to keep all of our different production crap safe, and of course, getting hunted out in the wild just adds that extra element of, like, you could get fucked over right now. I also really enjoyed how strong the mobs felt in the environment. Everything that you see, if you get close to it, it tries to attack you, minus the deer, which are absolutely ass to try to chase down. It is so hard to hunt a deer successfully. Maybe there's a secret to it, I don't know it. But, you know, the mobs felt strong. They didn't feel weak. I didn't feel like everything that we fought was just going to be a pushover, and it wasn't until I got the tier 2 gear that the tier 1 mobs started feeling like something you could just left-click spam to death. Now, once you find yourself surrounded by lots of enemies, it definitely gets a lot more difficult because you have to manage that stamina really well. Everything that you do in combat, using ranged and magic weapons as well, is costing you stamina, really similar to a system like Valheim, so you have to be really careful with how you manage your resource in a fight. I found for myself, I wasn't constantly waiting for my stam to come back, but I honestly am pretty good at iframing, and I'm pretty good at making sure I use my resources at the right time. If you like to left-click spam, this could be tricky. That being said, in a one-on-one, there is a stagger mechanic when you attack, so at least for melee weapons, you can left-click spam a single opponent down fairly successfully, but as soon as you get surrounded, you start to run into a lot of troubles with a strategy like that. Honestly though, melee combat was a ton of fun. I really liked it. Even though some of the enemies will really stick to you with their attacks if you mistime your dodge, so iframing is crazy important. Melee just felt clean to play, especially after I leveled up my attack high enough to get the passive that allows you to cancel out of your attacks with dodge and block. Oh my god, it just felt nice. You have the option to do ranged and magic combat as well. Ranged combat is not fleshed out. I mean, it was fine. You made a bow and you shoot your arrows. It's fun in that regard. The aim is good. It's actually fairly forgiving unless you're trying to hunt something like a deer. All of a sudden, those arrows don't stick so well. But for the most part, you know, there's nothing crazy going on there. I think the fact that we can't level the range skill yet probably has a lot to do with the range combat feeling the way it does, but I can't say it's awful. It's just pretty in the middle. Now, magic, it was really cool. Not just because of combat, but I love how they did magic in this game. Honestly, I might just do a whole video on magic in this game because it is really nice, and I feel like a lot of other crafting games like this that have magic, they don't do it nearly as well. Not only do you have different spells for different offensive stuff that you can use, but you've got mobility spells, you've got utility spells, you've got all kinds of different tools in your belt thanks to magic, and you don't just unlock these spells by leveling up your magic. Like I said, you can't even level magic yet, but as you level up all your other skills, you'll unlock spells through those skills, and then you can use runes in order to cast those. It's Not a complicated system, which was really nice. And one of the best parts about it is that it's very much like RuneScape. You mine rune essence, you go to the rune crafting altar, you make your runes, and you use those to cast your spells. So the ammunition for casting spells is really easy to come by. And I liked it, man. I really liked the base system here. Don't get me wrong, you don't have a ton of spells from each skill. I think it's like 2 or 3 spells from each skill right now. But as they build this game, oh my god, it is going to be really cool to see all of the different stuff you can do, and I'm excited for especially stuff like mobility spells. The jump spell that you got was a lot of fun to use, especially as a melee fighter. It gave me a lot of cool options that melee fighters kind of lack in these kinds of games, especially just being slow and having to move to your opponent in order to kill them. So yeah, I gotta say, I really like the magic system, and it's something I think I want to go a little bit more in depth with as I keep playing the game and learn a little bit more about it myself too. Now, skilling is actually pretty cool in this game. I mean, Valheim did skilling very similarly as well, where you have a skill for all of the different activities you do, and as you do those activities, you'll level them up. Crafting items, you level your crafting. Chopping trees, you level your logging, and so on. And if you guys are like me, this was kind of a fun aspect of the game because it felt very RuneScape. Not only was the leveling system very RuneScape in how it works, but all the items that you get on top of it are RuneScape items. So if you've played RuneScape yourself, you'll be very familiar with a lot of the different stuff in the game, and it'll click very quickly for you what you need to use this item for. And if you've never played RuneScape, well, what are you doing watching this video, man? Of course you've played RuneScape. And then there is the building aspect to it. A lot of these games, in my opinion, don't have good building. There are games like Valheim where the building is excellent. You can do so much with it, you can be so creative. And then there are games like Palworld where the building is just terrible. I would say the building in this game falls somewhere in the middle. You have a lot more options than a game like Palworld, which is really cool, but it is definitely not as fleshed out and awesome as Valheim. So yeah, I gotta say, for me personally, I'm gonna play around more with the system and see what I can build. If I can build something that I really like the look of, I'll give it a better score for building. Otherwise, it's pretty in the middle. So there you go, my first impressions of this game. It is fun, and I would recommend this game as a game if you like this genre. That being said, it's short. You're only gonna get 10 to 20 hours before you finish all the content that the game has right now. But it's going to grow, so there is that. If you want to get the game now and you know you'll want to play it in the future as well, you can always do that. The skilling doesn't stop, even though the skills themselves don't really give you anything past level 50. You can keep leveling them if you want. So for the hardcores out there that want to grind their 99s, I know that is a big thing in the RuneScape crowd. You can go ahead and do it, even in the early state that this game is in. Is it worth the time to do it? I mean, I don't know, it's really up to you. But just like old releases of RuneScape itself, I love that you have the option to go to 99 even if there's no reason to go there. I think the best way to describe how this game felt was Valheim with a RuneScape skin and a much more fleshed out magic system than Valheim has. Honestly, I'm excited to see how the game progresses. I think for what it is right now, it's probably not worth the $38, but it will be once they add some more shit to it. All in all, I was pleasantly surprised by the game. Pleasantly surprised that it was even made. Like I said, I had no idea they were even making this title. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed a little bit of the gameplay, and if you have any thoughts on the game itself, I'd love to hear what you think. As always, have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you next time.